Villanova, they got off to a great start in Big East play. They were 3-0 after the last time you met, and they lost 6 of 7, and they got right with their defense against Providence. What do you see from their defense that really carries them, really physical style of play, unlike or just like what you see in the Big East, really on a nightly basis?
Yeah, I thought that Villanova, played a really solid game on Sunday against Providence. Their energy level on defense, especially early on in the first, 12 to 20 minutes of the game, really set the tone for their overall performance. Villanova, they, number one, have a lot of pride in what they do. They have a very experienced group. A couple core players that are older in their program. They played for Coach Wright in his last year where they went to the Final Four and not only competed for a national championship, but if Justin Moore didn't have his untimely injury, they may have won the national championship. So those guys were, on the court playing. And when you have that type of winning experience, it translates a couple years later. I know those guys, some of them are in the final stages of their college career, and I'm sure they want to finish really strong. February and March are the months that mean a lot in our game. So we know that they're going to be at their best. I also think Dixon, who's had a great career from start to finish for Villanova, right now he's playing maybe as well as he ever has. His scoring, his rebounding, if you look at him, even when their team hasn't won recently, he's been great. And he's such a difficult matchup inside because he can shoot the three-point shot. He's left-handed. He has the know-how of being able to punish smaller people around the basket. He handles the ball really well. When you try to double-team him, he gets rid of the ball and makes good decisions. So I think he's one of the Big East overall great players. And he's, again, an older, experienced player. My final thoughts on Villanova is just from a depth perspective, they get great contributions from guys that don't start. They're 6, 7, 8, and even their ninth man, Lance Ware, transfer from Kentucky. They're big. They got great size and experience off the bench as well. So we have great respect for them. We know that they're used to winning, and this is going to be just a great challenge for our team. We're going to need our crowd, and I think on our end, we're going to have to play a great game.
You spoke on Justin Moore, and obviously he missed the first game you guys played, but he had a really good night here back in February of last season. Just what makes him a difficult matchup?
Well, Justin is, again, one of the Big East more complete players. His experience and his career speaks for itself. He sustained an injury midway through this year, which I don't know if he's been at 100%. Maybe he's working his way back, and he's closer to 100% now than maybe he was over the last month or so. But we fully expect him to to be a handful. He can post you up as a guard, really tough in and around the rim. His ability to shoot the three-point shot, it's just a matter of time, and that he's going to get on track. Let's hope it's not against us. And then he's a deadly free throw shooter. So when you foul him, and really when you foul Villanova, that's one of their keys to success. They're always near the top of college basketball in free throw percentage. This year is no different.
Sean, anyone who follows this program, they know what Jerome has been through to get back with the team and to get to where he is. He had a social media post last night. There was a subsequent report that followed. Do you have any update on what's going on with Jerome right now?
Yeah, unfortunately, in yesterday's practice, Jerome sustained an Achilles tear. So he will undergo surgery maybe as soon as the end of this week. We're trying to get the details and work through that part of it. But, when it happened, it's like, the air went out of the building because everybody knows all that he's been through. And if you don't know his story, he had heart surgery this summer. We didn't know, to the extent that he would be able to return to play or if he at all would. We worked through those early tough weeks and months, and, he fought all the way back to where he was finally cleared post-surgery and after his recovery in rehab, cardiac rehab, everything that he's gone through to be able to return to play and practice, and then all of a sudden more, and then finally return to contact and in practice. And he's lifting weights, he's traveling with us, he's a part of our everyday. It's really been that way for about a month, and yesterday, that happened. So I don't even have words to describe how badly we felt when we saw him go down. You almost knew right away what it was. But I give Jerome a lot of credit, and he has a lot in front of him. But the prognosis is in and around 6 months, and I think all of us, including Jerome, we're just steadfast in the belief that he'll return next season to play, and this is another part of his path. He's certainly gone through a lot. At Indiana, he had some real serious surgeries in his freshman year that a lot of young people wouldn't endure or be able to come back from. So he's gone through a lot. He's graduated, but I know his intentions are to finish his final year of eligibility here, and we're looking forward to helping making that happen. But yeah, it was a bad deal all the way around yesterday for us, and mostly for Jerome.
Hard pivot here with the microphone being passed to me, but I'll ask this. Look, yours is such a game-to-game business. We understand how much every game matters, but when you get this late in the year, how much do you start allowing the big picture of resume, March, all that stuff into your thoughts of what this team has to accomplish and needs to accomplish?
You just can't do that. There's always some of that that's actually happening as we talk here. You can't ignore what our players read, follow through their friendships. You can't run away from March Madness. It's what makes college basketball so special. People care. And the closer the calendar gets towards March, the more people talk about the tournament and those types of things. So innately, those are things that are a part of your everyday, whether you want to ignore them or not. So that's the first part. But what's going to allow our team to be the most successful during this stretch run is to not make anything bigger than we need to, and certainly not to overlook anything, which includes today's practice. The longer that the season grows, the more it's about the games to the outside world and less about the practice. But for us, we have to stay on that. Everything we do matters, or else we wouldn't do it, including a day off. A day off matters because it allows our players at this time of year to refresh and recharge. But our preparation, scouting, practice yesterday, really being familiar as much as we can with Villanova, learning from our DePaul experience, good and bad, that's really what's allowed us to stay in this and keep moving forward. That's our attempt moving forward to continue to be that team and program. Me as a coach, our staff, today's an important day, can't overlook it. And to your last point, is Villanova a big game on Wednesday, tomorrow night? No doubt. No doubt about it. It's a home Big East game. It's, two teams that are playing for a lot. We know that. We recognize that. But we just can't skip steps, get to the game, and expect to throw, the magic potion up and say, tonight, because we're in front of our home crowd, we're going to play lights out. The way we'll play lights out is just really sticking with it and, overcoming things and just trying to improve. So, that's the story. And I'm going to stick to that story. And it becomes more difficult as you get closer to the end to do that. But I believe that there are certain programs and teams that continue to do that all the way to the last game. And that's the type of team we want to be. That's the program that we're trying to be a part of and develop.
Davion's talked about the groove he's felt like he's come into. Maybe it's the most comfortable he's been since Western. As a point guards guy, true and true, how proud are you of him at this juncture in the season, knowing you mentioned February and March, teams have point guards or they don't? It looks like you have one.
No, Davon is the most improved player on our team from the start of the year until now. And we have several candidates, I think, that you can make the case for each of them that they've improved. But I don't believe anybody's improved more than Davon. It takes some time to get comfortable, but he runs our team. That stat of assist to turnover ratio is big in basketball, but it's really big for a point guard. If you can really have a high assist and low turnover ratio, you just make everybody better, and that's what he does. As he's become more confident in aggressive scoring and taking open three-point shots, that's given us more firepower and just made him an overall better player. And then certainly, his defense, his demeanor, his toughness, his ability to play and push our pace. Man, I don't know where we would be without him. And I think the last 3 or 4 weeks, statistically, if you look at him, I mean, he's really playing maybe as well as any point guard in our league, maybe minus Tyler Kolek.
We know you like to run a fast pace and, fast break points. You guys are top 5 in the country. Villanova is a team that doesn't crash the glass very often, getting back to limit those transition opportunities. How do you balance, wanting to play your game versus not trying to, push the effort and force shots?
No doubt. First and foremost, a quick shot, it just has to be a good one. If not, it almost goes into the turnover category. Villanova, in fact, because of their deliberate pace and their ability to take away your transition, that's a big key, I think, no matter who they play. And certainly against us, I'm sure they're well aware of our pace, and they're going to try to do the things they do to take it away. We can't change, though. And to your point about their rebounding, one of the things that really hurt us in Game 1 is they had some really big key second shots. So it's a little bit deceiving. They'll get some timely second shots, and the way they play, a lot of times those second shots lead to three-point scores. They found Hausen, twice last year, or in our last game, just on an offensive rebound, quick pass, 2 big threes. Late in the game, Dixon did a great job in and around the rim, trying to go vertical and make him miss. We did. He got his own rebound, went back up and scored it. So we also have to do a good job rebounding, but the pace is the pace, and we're going to try as best we can to play at the fastest tempo we can, and at the same time know that if they're back, you have to recognize that and then move the ball.
Sean, you answered this a little bit earlier, but just what are you hoping from a group where you're hoping that a lot of guys from this core return next year and you can build on this progress over the next 9 games and some more pressure-packed games? What are you hoping this core, this young core, learns over this February into March now, this stretch run?
Yeah, first, we're playing for the top prize this year. I don't think any of us can really go beyond it because there's so much unknown, in terms of from the last game of this season until the next game next year. Certainly, we're not going to experience anywhere near the turnover that we experienced this past year. I think we feel confident in that. But for us, our picture is simply, let's be the best we can be. This is a big week. We know we play Villanova and then Creighton, 2 home games. And like I mentioned earlier, what you really want to get good at is your process, your everyday, where you don't make things too big, you don't overlook anything or anybody, try to hold each other accountable, and just lock into the practices and the preparation and the shoot-around and the game itself. And, you start to make the picture too big or go beyond this year, it's just it doesn't help us be the best that we can be. One thing that we'll benefit tremendously from moving forward is just how well we do this year. And I think I mentioned it as far back as our UConn game in Hartford. This year's team will be remembered by how we finish. Those final 11 games, not the first 20. And we have to do the best we can down the stretch here to be playing our best basketball.